boys.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The lads.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Prepare yourself for BOYSCAST.
The bros.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The homies.
It's the BOYSCAST.
The dudes.
Experience the BOYSCAST.
The boys. Cast.
Yes, sir. The Boys Cast. We are here. Actually, me and Johnny Mitchell. We have in the studio here, our studio that we built here.
Yeah,
We actually were talking last night. We were talking shop Bitcoin in the hallway, just some boys.
That's right.
And you had a pretty good point where it was like saying that it is funny that like so many of the Bitcoin billionaires were like a child guy. Like, you know what I mean?
Is that true?
I didn't
Well,
understand
some.
that, but you have to assume because that's how they were criminals were
Oh,
trading
because
money. back then.
Well, I mean, like Ross Ulbricht would have, if he, like whatever Bitcoin he had, it was probably worth $500 billion or something. He had so
Dude,
many
people offered me Bitcoin for when I was a drug dealer. This is 2010.
Yeah.
People offered me this thing called Bitcoin. I was like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah,
You know,
I had a friend in like 2010 who was like, dude, this thing Bitcoin. He's like, he was mining them in his basement and all this
Yeah.
shit, and he's like, dude, you got. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
and now we're on the
Is
road.
that guy rich as
I don't. You know what? Like he's like sold some. I think he probably is sitting on, but he's like a real like libertarian. Like, so he just has them in his like cold wallet, but he has like a normal job, so they just like sit in his cold wallet. Like he doesn't. I don't think he does much with them.
No,
for a period, he was trading them in for gift cards because that was the only way you could get your money out. Like this is probably like this would be 10 years ago now, and so he would just like. There were websites where you could trade like Bitcoin for like an Apple gift card, and you just go buy like
Right.
a laptop or something.
No, but you got to think like the amount of people. The what?
I just want to.
Oh, Zins?
Yeah.
No, you have to think the amount
Oh,
of people
bro, you're gonna
that
have to pass
have
that.
Bitcoin
Right.
from crime and some of the worst crimes, and you go, those people were rewarded by becoming billionaires. You go, that's like a anti-karma point. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Exactly. You think karma exists?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's people who legitimately like probably had it on a hard drive, couldn't figure out how to get it off, and because they couldn't figure out how to get it off, they couldn't sell it, and then figured out how to get it off, and it was just like worth 100x or something, you know?
Zin me.
Sorry, Johnny.
Zin it up.
Yeah.
Howard Zinn.
But anyways, dude, I've seen a ton of your shit, but there was a point in my life where probably for 4 years, the only thing I watched was like jail docs and shit like that. It's funny that you've had tons of these people on.
Yeah,
But actually,
wild.
your story, obviously, quickly is you went to jail, right? What's
yeah.
the short version? So I'm sure you've told it a bunch of times. but-
Yeah, it's okay though. I'm here for it. It's a new audience. Let's bring them in. I'm into fan acquisition right
Yeah.
now. Okay?
Let's
selling.
go.
I'm selling.
This guy's
ABC,
business-
baby. Always be
businessman.
closing.
Dude, why is jail shit so interesting? It's the best. Like
you know what
jail
it is?
shows.
Everybody
Oz is my
thinks
favorite
about
show. I watched every lockup. I watched the lockups around the world.
It is to guys what true crime is to chicks, and
Yeah.
I figure out why. Because girls are always like, "Oh, I would have taken a left when I was getting chased with that knife by the home intruder." You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I would have kicked him in the balls.
Yeah.
Guys watch 60 Days In because they're like, "No, if I was about to get my ass busted, like my cheeks just straight up gang." I'd be like, no, I'd stab that dude.
Right.
Like that's.
I think also, I think also in America, like you're always just one kind of just unfortunate twist from finding yourself in prison.
That's true. It's so relatable too because everybody goes
Like,
to prison
dude, like,
in America.
man, the last, like, on my call-in shows,
You're
or
like, that
whatever,
could be me.
the last
Yes.
3 weeks in a row, someone called in and they were just like some story about someone who like was just like a vehicular manslaughter, like, you know, it happens,
Yep.
or like, you know, just shit happens. Like sometimes,
I guess that's the big one.
dude. Like you get in a fucking bar fight, some guy wants to kick your ass, you punch him, knocks his head on the concrete,
Yeah.
dies, you go to jail.
you
Like,
got to go, and now you're.
and everybody just I wonder if it's like this in other countries where people like think about it, because you know, like the Scandinavian countries,
Yeah.
their prisons are like kind of all like low security honor system.
Oh, I would go there just to like get away from my family. For
right,
the summer.
yeah,
Fucking-
for sure. Like
yeah.
it's not like here, but here you're like there's kind of everybody just thinks you're like you know one fucking misstep.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is, but it might be the best system. I mean, I amongst like the countries,
America?
Swear to God, amongst the
Interesting.
countries that have real problems.
Yeah.
Canada, not yet. And Europe, they don't really have real problems. Although now they're starting to get it, right? From you know, what we know.
Yeah.
But I just been to Mexico to film this show. And bro, like law is what keeps freedom. I figured
Right.
that out. When
Yeah,
I was a
yeah.
kid, I was like, fuck laws. I want to be free. That's what keeps you free. You go to Mexico, nobody's free. We've been in Culiacan, the headquarters of the Sinaloa cartel. And we just wanted to go check out this like cartel graveyard. And so we snuck away from like the hotel where the Americans stay, just me and the cameraman, and we're going around this like huge graveyard with mausoleums that look like West Hollywood $10 million mansions. These are all for dead drug lords, right?
Drug lords, yeah.
And we got back, and nobody knew we left, and they were like, we were watching you the whole time.
Yeah.
Like it's like the KGB. So there's not.
So you're saying that you're getting Big Brother one way or the other?
For sure.
The state's Big Brother, the
For
vacuum
sure.
gets filled.
Exactly. And I think the state, that's the happy medium, right? But the state usually administers violence better than criminal organizations.
For
usually.
sure. Right? It's a
You know
little
what I mean?
more fair, I guess.
Yeah. So I don't know. But I mean, like,
Some might argue, well, there was the argument the other way around is people will be like, at least when you're dealing with the mafia, you kind of like know the rules.
And also
whereas
there's-
here they kind of, but you know, there was like, sometimes it starts to be a find me the man, I'll find you the crime situation.
For sure. Well, cops will kill you way faster in Mexico, but they're all being paid off, you see.
Right.
So it's like, it all comes from like criminal money.
Yeah. I had this dude, Yohan Grillo. You know him?
Heard of him.
He's like this crime reporter in Mexico, and he was on my show. And like
British guy?
Yeah. He's badass. He's like but he lives in Mexico. And
Can we talk about these Brits for a sec?
Yeah.
Why are they always doing extreme shit? They're with great white sharks. They're with
it's
baklava cartel guys.
There's no sunshine.
Yeah, it's just too good.
Yeah.
It's like, God, these fucking white boys, bro.
Yeah.
I'm such a hack.
I know.
Anyways,
But
at least
zero
I've lived it.
sunshine.
At least I've lived it. You know what I'm saying? Let me
But-
tell you about the Sinaloa cartel.
Dude,
I'm like, N-word, please.
He was like, there's all these dudes in the Sinaloa cartel who are like on the run, but then they have these like super active Instagrams where they're just like posting themselves like on the run, but they're so like don't give a shit. And they have like tigers and stuff.
Yep.
Like they're real fucking gangsters.
Yep.
That's what I was kind of thinking, like,
They love
it's-
animals.
It just
Yeah.
in general has to be almost 1,000 times harder to do crime, or has the internet made it easier?
Depends what crime we're talking.
I mean, they literally
Many
made it
things have
legal
become-
to shoplift.
Many things but many things have become way easier for these guys, these Albanians, these Armenians that know how to fucking
I mean,
crack into shit. You know what I mean?
hack crime.
Bro, identity
Yeah.
theft, it's actually easier than ever, according to these guys.
I mean, dude,
Mobsters
the
do it.
AI shit right now. Just when I was waiting for us to start, I was on Twitter and some guy was like, "Yeah, you know, my dad just got like the worst phone call a dad has ever had to receive. He's like, his son was in jail and just got a DUI and he needed 30 grand for bail, and he's like, it was an AI call." And there's gonna be this new thing where like you can call someone, like I can call you pick up your phone, and then I'm just recording your voice, clone your voice, and then call your dad with your voice.
Wow.
And that's like easy. That's not like, this isn't high level shit.
I thought you
This
just
is
said
like,
dad found out his son's gay.
No.
Oh, thank God. No, he just got
30
stabbed to
grand,
death in prison.
30
He's
grand and
okay.
I'll be straight again.
Wow.
Yeah, but
so they clone that
they
and
just
they
clone
say,
your
send me
voice.
30 grand. Yeah.
You go, Dad, I'm in trouble. And if you're and I've heard other stories of this happening already, but like if you're the dad and you're not super careful and you don't be like, you know what precinct, like what precinct?
Sorry, dude. Oh, I fucked up the flow. Sorry,
it's all
I wanted
good.
a bottle of water. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I just destroyed
No,
the
it's
show.
all good. No,
My
but
bad.
he's like, what precinct are you at or whatever? Like there was one guy who's like, you know, he asked or whatever, he found out, and then he called them and he's like, where's my son? They're like, your son's not here. And then he figured out he was getting scammed. And this guy was an attorney too. He was like a big shot attorney. He's like, I'm not like, I get how the system works.
That
like,
was here in America?
this was in like California, New York or something. But this guy wrote this whole thing being like, I know how the system works, and I was this fucking close to getting scammed.
Yeah, if you're over 60, you're on a platter right now. You're a sitting duck.
But also, give your son a call real quick. Shoot him a text.
One text.
One text.
Well,
Just to confirm.
But if he says he's in
Yeah.
jail, like, you're right, confirm it. That's, I guess that, but then they'll be on to the next one, you know?
Yeah,
it's
it's a numbers
yeah.
game completely. And the first thing you do when you find out your child's incarcerated, you're like, if you got the bread, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a panic.
For sure. You just like go get him out, bail him out. But like soon, like I imagine now this AI scam is someone's talking into a voice cloner that's automatically cloning the voice, but there is someone talking. Soon it's just going to be like software that just like, because all call centers are going to be AI soon, where you're not talking to people, it's going to be AI. So they're going to be able to call 1 million people a day. So you're like, if you just get 10 of them at 30 grand a pop,
doing
you're
good.
like, you're making fucking good money.
I wonder if those AIs are still going to have the Indian accent, like the thinly veiled Indian accent. You know,
Where are you from? It's like Delaware.
Hello, this is Hank. This is Hank.
So, okay, so just the quick version of the story was,
Sure. Yeah, no, whatever. I mean, I was a dope boy, like back when weed was a drug. I mean, I would sell other shit, right? Like if the weed got dry and some coke came through, we would get that off, right? Because weed used to dry up. I feel like I'm talking to like 23-year-olds now.
Yeah.
There was a time when the demand outpaced the supply, if you can believe it. So we used to get just, 50 pounds a week was probably like the height of what we were doing. And that was a lot of weed back then. And you would get it in October when it cropped, and by August it was all sold out.
Yeah.
So then you would start doing other shit. But yeah, we blew the business up by the grace of God. I mean, I had no idea. Like I started out selling just dime bags in high school, public school. You know what I mean? Like early 2000 shit.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how I was so fascinated by the black market, because you would hear about, being from Portland, the weed rush, the illegal weed rush was like crack was to the black ghetto back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Everybody knew somebody that was getting into it. And most people didn't have success, but then you would hear about like, your friend's older brother, and they're like, yeah, he blew up. He's big time.
I remember in high school there was this kid from my friends. They went to a different high school, and there's this kid, this crazy kid. And they're like, he made $50,000 selling weed, and we were like 16. You're like, what?
Blew your mind.
Yeah,
That was like $1
crazy.
trillion.
You're like, what?
So when I found out, I'm like, this guy doesn't have a job. He like pays his rent, which was $600 a month to get a house back then.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's all I want. Like that is the dream. And so I just kind of kept like pursuing it. I'm like, okay, so how do these buyers, you can't advertise your product like people now on Snapchat are like, look at all this weed, and that's actually how drugs get moved. That's how you promote your shit now. If you're
Right now
trapping.
on Snapchat?
Yes, on Snapchat and all this shit. But back then I'm like, how do buyers find sellers? Like it was just fascinating to me. Like I always loved economy. And
How
like,
did you have to, what was the main thing? You just have to be like a
gotta
man
find-
of the people that knows everyone?
I mean, you just start from the bottom.
Yeah.
Like the cartel shit is the same way. These guys, like even, Mayo's kids, Mayo Zambada, who just got popped, he was like the last of the senores, right? The original fucking bosses. His kids would work up through the organization, and they would find their own distribution channels and shit like that. So,
And weed would be like a lot of like farmers. Like you just have some dude who like has a greenhouse.
Or like some hippie, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe he has a
Yeah.
greenhouse in like Humboldt or something.
So back then it was two main groups, and I tried to keep like 3 or 4 of these guys because I could play off, different prices, kind of play off of each other, off of them. One was the hippies, like these laid off electricians from Southern Oregon, like Ashland, Medford. That's where like the growing starts, right? And they would have just big gardens, and so we would go get it from them. But then if you wanted the really good price, that's when you got to go deeper into California, because that's where the cartels were. That's where the Mexicans were, and they would go into
was their shit good?
It was good. Yeah, it was outdoor weed, but it looked you could almost pass it off as like indoor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
They would go in greenhouses and shit like that. So it was like a hybrid, I would say.
Sure.
But it was high quality commercial bud. So I never was like a connoisseur. I was never an artiste. I think pot culture is dumb and gay.
Yeah.
Thought it back
I
then.
agree.
Still think it. I like getting
It's
high.
the worst identity right now.
Oh my God.
I don't think there's a worse identity after weed's become legal than like weed your whole identity when it's legal now, because
Black
you're not
white
even like
posters?
but you're not even like, hey, like I'm like fighting the fucking
Yeah.
system, like fighting the good fight. You're like literally like it's legal. You can buy it on any corner, and you're still your identity.
That and women with dogs looking for a dog daddy on social media, on dating apps. That's the worst identity. But yeah, weed is stupid. But so I never looked at it as like I'm helping people. I never looked at it.
You didn't think it was you're delivering medicine.
Yeah, that definitely was not delivering
I know a lot of
medicine, dude.
hippies who were like, this is my medicine, and I roll my eyes.
Yeah, so when we really linked up with these fucking boys from Sinaloa, and I think they were from Sinaloa, right? You don't know, because these aren't. It would be like the one kid who spoke a little English with the fucking gold rope and the LA Dodgers tattooed on his neck.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was farmers. Bro, these guys didn't even know what state they were in. They were like, we might be in Oregon, we might be in California, but they would in the base, Silicon Valley of drug dealing is Culiacan, Sinaloa. Every grow season, a guy will the boss will put money behind, muling 12 obradores, laborers north, sneak these guys over, and then the one guy who kind of speaks English, is the guy who facilitates selling to distributors like me.
Yeah, and they all go set up like irrigation and like
yes,
the
and they
woods
go up
stuff,
into the
right?
federal land.
I saw there was some documentary. I can't remember what I saw, but it was like some guy who was growing in Humboldt, and I think they got killed or something, and like he got
probably
his house
happened.
burned.
Yep.
But there was like they're like all these dudes like they go live in the fucking mountains. They set up like irrigation lines.
It's
then they
it's
just grow.
Mexican
And they're-
labor.
and
To what
yeah,
extent to like?
They're willing to go
live in
way
tents and
further and go and
Yeah.
you know, that's why they succeed. And an average crop, they get a couple thousand pounds a crop, which is good, you know.
Yeah.
And they give it to me for $2,000 a pound, and then I can move it in Washington Heights, New York, for $35.
Yeah.
And you do that times 50 a week, it turns into $1 million spot
Yeah.
pretty quickly. You know what I mean? But that's
Before you know it, you're dealing with the cartel.
yeah, and you're just before I know it, but it took 6 years. I was like open micing drug dealing, but I didn't really see profit for my first 3 or 4 years. It was like having a startup, you know what I mean? So, you know, I really put in my time.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. Is it true that right now, like if you think of like the border and what's happened and people, it's all they're bringing in criminals.
Yeah.
It hasn't really like 10x'd in the last 4 years where. I know you're not like tapped in, but you still talk to, you talk about people with this all the time.
but
Like, has it like went crazy? Is that?
Yeah. That's a great fucking question. Cause I am more tapped in now because we filmed at the border. We've
Filmed at the
talked to a
border.
human smuggler, walked the border fence. We went into Juarez. We were down in Tijuana last week talking. We were on the building of this trap spot, and no joke, we are like 200 yards from the border fence. And so these guys are all showing us, they're telling us like how they sneak people over and shit. Look, I don't know the numbers, and I'm sure some criminals are coming in, and I'm sure some South Americans are coming in, Venezuelans, that's obviously true. Chinese people.
Oh, for sure.
But the wall is there. It's fucking hard to get across. Do you know what these guys, Mexicans, pay to get like across the border? They pay
30?
10
grand.
G's.
Yeah,
10?
10 grand.
Because what these guys will do is they have holes cut in the border fence that they can put back. Like open it up,
Oh, crazy.
go through, and they put it back so it looks like it hasn't been touched, right? They'll then take drones, fly them. They're standing on a building and the border wall's right there. America's on the other side. One guy's on a cell phone. The other guy standing next to him is on with the drone. They fly the drone over the border so they can see where the border guards are at, and then they'll tell the migrants, take a left. Yeah, stop. Okay, run.
They need to be like shooting down drones.
Right, exactly, which they're not.
I mean, they're
with
just so overmatched. Like it's such a long wall.
Exactly,
Like,
but my point is like, yeah, they probably are making it. Like there was a time, 21 to like maybe the middle of last year, when America was like, you got to stop this, when people were lining up and they were just giving them asylum. That is
Yeah.
true. But like the whole, Trump, let's build a wall. That's bullshit. The wall is there.
Yeah.
And it's fucking hard to get over, bro.
Yeah, but the asylum thing's different. Like you're talking
Yeah.
about like coyotes.
I'm talking
who are
about, yeah,
bringing
just
people in,
people-
not like on the books. Like the people who come in as asylum seekers are like they're documented.
Right.
Like
but
and they get a.
but that's what we probably shouldn't allow.
Yeah.
And we were right to be like, that's where the right wingers
they're
were correct
gaming the
about that.
asylum system.
Right,
essentially.
exactly. But when it comes to just like sneaking people in, it's not a porous border.
No,
no.
and they've been doing it forever.
Yeah, it's like you can't stop it. So
No, you
it's
can't
like,
stop it.
and in my opinion, and this is kind of a bit, but like, if you can make it through all that shit, you probably deserve to be here.
Yeah.
You want it, dog. You know what I mean?
And
And
what is this-
amount can you take?
What does
Yeah,
it say on the
yeah.
Statue of Liberty? Fucking
Give us your
it's
fucking
all basically
poor, tired,
Yeah.
hungry, and brown.
all the worst of whatever. Just we'll take them. So.
Yeah.
Do they? Does cartel still make money with weed, or do they do other?
Yeah,
shit?
they do. So now,
Seems like that would not be a good.
so in California, dude, but this is, you got to check out.
Unless
the
it's so
Connect.
cheap or something.
You're asking great questions, guys. You've
Yeah.
seen the show.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
commend what you
Uh,
guys are doing at the BOYSCAST.
Dude, I'm like legitimately probably the most random thing that I like watch and know nothing about is jail and
yeah.
like gang.
I mean, I love jail TikToks, like the ones from jail.
Fascinating, bro. I got
I like-
so many
'cause-
guys in jail watching my show. That's why
crazy,
that's why I can't sell any tickets on the road. They're all doing triple life.
Yeah, But it's like because I know you're not allowed to have cell phones, and then sometimes they cover their faces, but sometimes they don't, and they'll just be like videos of them like singing and dancing.
Bro, they're on Rikers. Everybody's smoking K2 and fentanyl, and they're just fucking dancing, and they're very good at dancing.
Yeah,
still.
they are very good.
You think they can dance sober, bro?
So what happens if you do that? If you're in the jail dancing on, is it not like the next day they come in and just like, okay, we saw your TikTok, now you're in?
I don't think they're on it like that, like next day. But
they'll make a video and then they'll pass it down. Like you never keep the cell phone in your cell for too long. So like when I was locked up, that's when cell phones really started to become pretty ubiquitous. When I was in prison, I was in a max for like 8 months, like a maximum security prison, and I had a shot caller celled up with me for like half of that time, and he was the one.
What's
like
a shot caller?
He ran.
What is a shot caller?
That's such a Canadian question. You're so cute.
The guy who runs the
so
show.
let me answer
Calls the shots,
Let me
man.
answer my great aunt that
but
question.
I mean, like, is this like a
like
cartel guy, a Mexican guy, or do you mean like he just kind of
No, it's for the
badass
whites
in jail?
No, the shot callers, whoever runs the yard for the specific race.
Yeah.
So mine was the white guys, right? So he was like the Hell's Angel guy.
You were in California?
I was in Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is
it's
it the same race politics as California?
It is, but it's a lot more. It's
So
just
you
a
get
lot more
sort of like-
chill. It's not like constant stabbing.
One of my favorite things I told Ryan was Wes Watson.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and I'm curious what you think about him, because like some people say his whole thing's like bullshit.
He blew me.
Good. Nice. But he was
Wes Watson?
He's like that fucking motivational speaker, dude. He's like super roided out motivational speaker. He does stuff with like Fresh and Fit or whatever.
Okay,
And he's
I
like
don't know.
motivational, but his whole thing is like he's like, I got all these fucking Lamborghinis and all this stuff. But he was in
Cali.
He was in Cali prison
Yeah.
or whatever. But his whole thing is he's like, because he's like, the white, if you're white, you go with the whites. And he's like, we're doing fucking burpees, and you're doing fucking 14 burpees and then 88 burpees because it's all like Hail Hitler shit. But he's like, but we're not racist. Like it's just how it is. And like I love the whole thing. Where, like we're not racist. Everything's about Hitler, but it's not a racist thing.
This is how unacceptable racism is now. Even a guy with a swastika on his neck in prison will be like, "No, I'm not racist."
Yeah.
Like,
They go like, I just have
racist.
it's race politics.
I sold
have to
heroin
run
to
with
a
the
black guy.
whites. Yeah,
Would a
yeah.
racist guy do that? And you're like, "Oh, okay.
They're like, we just have to run with the whites.
It's your world, baby. Whatever you want."
I always kind of saw that it seemed like the white supremacist dudes, they were small, but they seemed to like run the jails outsized for how big they are.
Well, the Aryan Brotherhood is a very small organization, and they started in California prisons. We've actually had one of the guys on the podcast, and he was saying it's like their philosophy was like, we have to be vicious because when we started in the 70s, 80% of the yard was black.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the rest was Latinos. So they're outnumbered. So they're like, we got to be ruthless or else we're going to get our shit taken. Like we're going to be brutalized.
Right.
And what does that mean? Like, is that kind of the, hey, we'll find your family outside of prison, like that kind of shit?
What they would, how that looks.
What's more ruthless mean?
Like
just killing more people in jail?
Just killing guards, brutally stabbing people to death, like really like over the top violence. You know what I mean? So now they have a reputation, right? But let me talk about this weed shit because I think they're going to appreciate it now. Because I was like, bro, there's no trap left, right? And for sure, a lot of their pockets got after the cartels. After weed became legal in the U.S., you see a lot of cartels now, not in Mexico, not even fucking with drugs.
Yeah.
They're criminal armies. They steal gas from Pemex, the oil lines. They make billions doing that. Human smuggling, huge.
Probably like meth,
shit like that. But
different drugs.
Now in California, the cartels have these huge grows, like thousands of plants, and they're basically out in the open with it and they'll get raided and nobody will get arrested. They'll just take all their shit, right? They grow that weed and they ship it to Mexico. In Tijuana, there's traps everywhere with U.S. grown weed. How crazy is that?
What?
It's supposed to be drugs north.
Yeah.
Now it's coming south.
And it's probably really easy to get it south.
And Mexico has a huge internal demand for drugs. Like I didn't think Mexicans had money to spend on drugs, but like they have a middle class that's kind of growing, and they have a lot of
Meth is really big there.
Yes, well, meth is the biggest, but amongst because it's like a working class drug, but. You have a lot of expats who live in Tijuana now, who live in Mexico. So that's a market. And yeah, I don't know. They find the money, but that's like a big market now is U.S. grown weed. And they said it to tourist areas and shit like that.
Is weed legal in Mexico or no?
No, it's illegal. And that's why there's money in it. You know what I mean? So
Crazy, because it is crazy to see. Like, we were living in Toronto when they legalized weed.
Yeah.
And then like to go back there and already see dispensaries closing. Because there's too many of them, and then like it just become like you just sell like
how many.
but you just sell like a commodity now. Like you might as well sell fucking potatoes or something,
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, you're just like in a highly competitive market with super tight margins, and it's hard to do business.
Right, exactly.
And everybody thought you're like, oh, this is a license to print money, and you're like, nope.
No
way.
but the cartels still get it though. You know, there's certain states, like I think when it goes federally legal, there's still going to be states where they're going to give the permission over to the states, and they can be like, no, not in Arkansas,
Right.
you know, and that's a market.
Mm-hmm.
So the cartels will grow it and they'll send it there. But yeah, their margins are reduced.
Yeah,
you know, just the way it is.
So okay, so the Mexicans sort of in America, is that the biggest drug smuggling? Where does the hierarchy of like, okay, you have Mexicans, then you have the bikers, you have the what are the other ones, and what's like the hierarchy?
What do you mean?
Who runs what? Like, is there certain, you go, okay, cartels all this drug, and then the bikers stay away from that? Like, do they have their own
I guess Coke is all the
politics with?
Coke's probably all the cartels.
Yeah, of course, Coke. Every drug that comes from, you know, south of the border crossing into it is cartel controlled. But once it crosses the border now, it's not. Most of these guys, from what I know, right, from what I've seen and asked this question a million times, most of the people getting the drugs on this side, it's cash on delivery, and then it's like, boom, we're out of it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the cartels had cells all over the U.S., and their people were getting it. They knew where it was coming from, and it was more controlled like that. Like, it was more like mafia style. But now it's like everything's decentralized, so they would rather just sell the drugs to American gangs, biker gangs,
Just like wholesalers,
Chicano
basically.
gangs. They just wholesale it, and then they run back.
You
for
guys
safety.
fight it out amongst yourself on the street.
Exactly.
So the more of the crimes happen at the small level then.
For sure, and all the fentanyl that gets cut up into the coke and shit, that's all Americans, bro.
Yeah.
The fucking, they don't want that shit.
No.
I mean, obviously they're smuggling in.
They're the ones that are bringing it in, though.
They're bringing it in, but they
Well, it's
started
coming from China though.
They started pressing pills, fentanyl, into colorful pills now, as a way to reduce the fatalities, like the dilution of cocaine with fentanyl.
Yeah, I had a friend. She lives in Vancouver. She's a doctor. Because like when the fentanyl shit was starting to pop off, because Vancouver has like a real fentanyl problem, like a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
And she was basically saying like, because everybody's like, oh, fentanyl's so bad. And she's like, no, there's so many people who like, they just take fentanyl every day. Like, it's only bad if you have no tolerance to it.
It took a couple of years, but now they got tolerance to it. Right?
Yeah. But she's like, because they would used to, like, a lot of them do pills, but they would get these slow release patches that they would give you like for, you know, if you had like a surgery or something.
Yeah.
But then they get the patches and they scrape the fentanyl off of them.
Yeah.
And then like consume it that way to like
Basically, what we're saying is fentanyl's no big deal, you guys.
No, fentanyl's.
And if you
When you do go to the doctor now, I think Corinne just had this. She went to the doctor and they're like, "Oh, what are they giving me for this thing?" And it was like, "Well, fentanyl." Blah. Like it is still just part of the regimen.
Probably like insanely like low dose, slow release. I think the problem is when you don't get it in slow release and it just turns your lungs off. Yeah, fentanyl's.
we thought we were getting this episode monetized. You can keep dreaming, dude.
Fentanyl's bad.
You're gonna have some editing to do there, producer.
Hey, when you're talking to all the criminals, why are they able to say their crimes openly without anyone fighting them? I'm always like, how can this guy say all this?
So most 85% of them have ratted. They've cooperated. So when you cooperate, especially if it's a high level federal deal, you got to proffer, meaning like, look, we'll give you a cut of deal to where you don't have to spend life in prison, but you need to tell us everything.
It's a shield.
Everything.
You
Yes.
see the
So you're saying they're
last
already
episode of The
rats.
Shield?
Yes. So now there's nothing.
Basically, everything
they're not-
you admit to, you can't be like. If you admit to everything you've
Well,
ever done,
I understand
you can't
that
be
part
held.
of it.
So
I'm
that's why
not
they
saying
can
why
talk
wouldn't
about
they tell because they've done the crimes. I'm saying like, why wouldn't mafia be like, let's take these guys out and send a message that you can't do a podcast to or talking about our crimes?
They're all fucking ratting, bro.
Yeah, there's like no mafia really anymore.
No.
Other than Montreal, like
Yes, because they don't have RICO laws. Up
yeah, Montreal's like really the last place.
Well, that's the reason. I didn't know
exists.
that.
It is. So there you go.
I thought it was because of the border.
So
I've been
we-
telling people that.
You're just spreading the propaganda. Do it, dude.
Just
Whatever.
Canada's the best. That's why
Yeah, Canada is the best.
we love Canada.
Fellas, of all the things that it is worthwhile in your life to spend money on, a good bed, a great bed is probably the most important. We've told you about Helix Sleep. We've been talking about this for years. Danny has been a very big proponent
Big
of
sleep
that.
guy.
You've been a proponent of that to me, though. If there's
course.
one thing you're going to do that'll improve your life, you've said buy a great mattress,
Spend
right?
a third of your life in that thing.
You spend a third of your life into that. So when we're telling you about Helix Sleep, we're talking premium mattresses, customized to fit your needs, conveniently shipped right to your door. You do the Helix Sleep quiz, and you go through it. It asks you a bunch of questions. You can do it with your significant other. You can do it with yourself, whatever your sleeping arrangements is.
Yep.
And you go through it. It asks different questions about, do you prefer a hard bed? Are you a light sleep? All this different stuff that will help them customize the perfect mattress for you, because they know the questions and then they know the answers of what.
They ask about your guy, your chick, what's there going on?
Yeah, so you both can do it together, and the mattress comes in a rolled up in a box, easy to set up. The mattress comes in a lot smaller of a shipping package than you would expect it to. Oh. It includes a 10-year warranty, so this is something that'll be solving your problems for a long time. And they offer financing options, flexible payment. So right now, I have the Luxe Dawn. It's the right firmness, the right size for me. That's another thing. I'm a tall guy, so you can put that on there. All of your needs are going to be qualified, answered, so you can have a good night's sleep. They got a Black Friday sale, which is 25% off site-wide. We're talking 2 free pillows, free bedding bundle when you get the Luxe and the Elite mattresses. When you're improving your sleep, everything else in your life is going to improve. Your mood improves, everything. You're more productive. Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses. The Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and they got a Helix Kids mattress designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. There's a 100-night sleep trial to test a mattress, which if you have, you go over 3 months to test this bad boy, figure out, and everyone's different. Helix knows that. That's why the sleep quiz matches your unique body type, your sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Other mattress companies use fiberglass and flame retardant in their products, but Helix mattresses free of harmful fiberglass materials. Helix owns its own manufacturing facility, which is entirely free from products containing fiberglass. I'm sure you've seen on TikTok recently, actually kind of been all over the internet, where there's been a whole number of health issues related to the fiberglass. So you can sleep easy knowing that Helix is none of that. The best part is that when Helix delivers your mattress right to your door, free shipping in the US. The mattress comes rolled up, like I said, and they got the warranty. I personally love my Helix mattress. It's been a big improvement for me in the sleep category. I think you would too. So if you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. Their Black Friday sale is running right now for a limited time, and it's great time to upgrade your mattress. So you visit helixsleep.com/boyscast to get 25% off your mattress, plus 2 free pillows, and and receive free bedding bundle with your Luxe or Elite order.
So yeah, we had a mob guy on, fucking Bonanno, like captain, like really like a made dude. He had bodies on him. He was a great earner, fucking, making millions of dollars in construction. He had sports books and shit. This was in like the mid 2000s. And Dominic Cicale, shout out. He came on, episode did fucking killer, and he got a fucking hit put out on him from that episode. Really? He was saying names and shit like that. Yeah. And
there's no code anymore.
Yes. And so I'm like, how did you figure that out so quick? Like, it was thwarted, I think, like immediately. And he's like, dude, because the people setting up the hit, like I think it was somebody from that family, the Bananos, one of them was cooperating.
Right.
So we could be setting up a hit, but I'm also talking to the feds.
They go tell the feds tell you there's a hit on you.
And that's a new charge that they have against them.
Yes, and they just have leverage. Everybody's leveraging up just in case they go down for like a big crime.
But you have to think that if right now there was, there's lots of guys that are out there kind of being like, I was a gangster, what I mean? If one of those guys got shot, you'd think that there'd be probably half those guys and be like, maybe I'll fucking,
Yeah, I hope that
lay low on spilling crimes for a second.
Right, exactly. I hope that doesn't happen, but I will make.
If I was from there,
I will make a video out of it.
Yeah. I guess I will exploit it over, like where they just,
Well, Mexico, there's not even a stigma around it. Like all of those kingpins are all telling on each other. Chapo told on Mayo Mayo told on Chapo his kids just because they kidnapped him. That's what America does. We go and illegally kidnap people and then charge them with crimes.
He's in an MDC Brooklyn with fucking Diddy, isn't he?
Mayo, yeah, he is.
And Mayo is Chapo's son?
No. Mayo was Chapo's business partner. And they were part of the Sinaloa cartel.
And he came, wasn't he like, what was his deal? He was like hiding out in the States or something, or like he came to the States knowing.
Mayo?
Yeah.
No. So he got, they thought.
Didn't he sneak into the States or something?
When? Recently when he got. No. It seemed like, they made it seem like that at first, but
okay.
One of Chapo's kids. So after Chapo went down, the Sinaloa cartel went. Two factions. One, the Chapitos, right? The little Chapo's sons. And then the Maitos, the ones that were still loyal to Mayo.
Was it like the old heads in the...
Exactly. So they, there's two factions, right? And the Chapos never forgot that Mayo's gave the permission to his son to turn in Daddy Chapo. They never forgot, even though this was 8-9 years ago now. And so a couple months ago, with the help of the CIA, and by the way, these guys operate like spies. It's fascinating. These fucking, these jabbering little fucking Mexicans from the mountains are like sophisticated spies.
Oh yeah, I mean the money they have, they probably have like all the equipment,
and they just have deals. Like so with the help of either the DEA or the CIA, they kidnapped Mayo and they tied him up and they put him on a private plane and they flew him to the U.S.
Crazy.
So how the fuck is that democratic?
Honestly, the only person who can't snitch or won't snitch is fucking El Chapo's wife.
Yeah.
Remember, she was just like, I don't know, I've never
trying
seen him
to get
do
her
any
on
crimes.
trying to get her on. She's modeling now in Milan or something.
She's like, I've never seen him do anything criminal.
Trying to get her on the pod,
incredible.
bro. Trying to get her on the pod, dude. So I mean, I interviewed a guy. He's a Jamaican guy. Harlem, born in Jamaica, was a Harlem kingpin. Like he didn't wear shoes. He didn't know what shoes were until he got on a plane to the U.S. when he was 8 years old.
Oh, crazy.
And by the time he's 29...
I was like, what part of Harlem don't they wear?
I thought it was like one of those things.
Harlem's doing
He was
bad.
so rich that his feet never touched the ground.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Saudi prince. He just wears sandals.
Yeah, he just gets carried.
And white robes as he's going through Harlem. So but by the time he's 29 years old, he's making $3 million a week, bro. Woo. And this motherfucker got popped. They gave him life, and he just kept his mouth shut.
Yeah.
He didn't even tell on the cops that he was paying off.
Really?
And that's go check out his channel, Unique Mecca Audio.
He did his 20 years and now he's out.
He got life, and then guess what? Donald Trump gets in office, and he passes that law. It's called the First Step Act, meaning if you got convicted of a drug crime during these years, the Clinton years and the years where they were just giving out these completely unjust sentences,
crazy sentences.
If you've reformed yourself in prison and you can prove it, you can go before your old judge and they can look at it and be like, yeah, stamp, you're out. And a lot of guys got out.
Is that
like
what Rick Ross got out?
He actually got out on a loophole. He actually beat the case.
I listened to that episode.
Bro.
That was fucking...
Yeah. So those old school black guys would go down with the ship, which is it makes you tingle because you're like, God, these are men of like principle.
I would have thought some of it would be, especially mob stuff or biker. They go, I'm going down with the ship because otherwise they'll, kill my fucking wife or not take care.
Yeah,
there's that
I don't know if they
too,
do
probably,
that
right?
as much anymore.
Yeah, they don't. It doesn't really happen.
It's like more like old school shit. And I think there's become this whole like game theory, prisoner's dilemma thing where you're just like, well, fuck. Like if I don't rat, like the other person's gonna rat, and so it's just like everybody starts thinking like, well, I'd be stupid not to rat because I'm gonna.
The floodgates are open, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't rap. Yeah. But I wasn't facing this enormous amount of time. So it's like, I don't like...
Did they try to make you rat?
Yeah, of course. But
how does that work?
But so every 3 days, I'm in basically Portland's equivalent of MDC, fucking 23 and a half hours a day alone in this like iron fucking cell with just a little window. And you're at your most vulnerable. I'm fucking completely in shock. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't even... My head is, you can't even describe it. It's like the worst feeling when you bomb on stage. It's like an out of body experience,
right?
Yeah.
You're just
and
like,
it's like, Mitchell, you got to visit. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's the lawyer. And nope, it's the DEA, just 3 guys. And they're just like, are you ready? And I'm like, oh, come back and see me next week, maybe. You know what I mean? And then 3 days later, Mitchell, come on, dude, are you ready? Because they saw me and they were like, oh, this is easy lunch.
But they want you to
Yeah,
rat
yeah,
on
yeah.
like
You know?
cartels.
Yeah, but the thing is,
like, yeah.
they didn't have a lot of evidence. So my lawyer was like, look,
You might get off anyway.
yeah, like I think if you just hang in there, we could just forfeit all your money, bring him to the
How much
other money
money?
you have hidden. It was over $1 million, and I they confiscated about $700,000 the day I got arrested, and then I forfeited another 3.5, like $350,000. And he was like, if we just forfeit this, they'll probably just hit you with like a money laundering, and you'll have, you'll do like three to 5. Didn't really have any record, because if you go to work for them, if you say, hey, yeah, I'll take you to my guys, I'll take you down to fucking Humboldt. There's no like, okay, you just give us him and you go
Yeah,
free.
you're like, it doesn't end.
For the rest of your
work,
life.
You work until they say you're done.
Yeah, it's
So
like Sopranos.
we've talked to
It's like
people.
when-
You're right. It's
yeah,
big
they pull
pussy.
that big pussy out.
So we talked to a guy. He was a huge weed guy, and he used to work with the Montreal mob. Right,
Yeah.
he was their point man for smuggling bud down from Canada into the U.S. He was like a upstate New York hillbilly.
Okay.
He worked for the feds for 10 years.
Yeah.
Before they said bye bye. So.
And
Yeah,
they could still probably call you back at any point.
exactly. So, yeah, I was like, I just hung in there, and then they just said, "Oh, fuck it, okay, we'll just take it. We'll take your money." So I literally bought my way out of the feds. They dropped the charges, and then the state picked it up. And so
That's
I
still
knew I
probably-
was doing at
still
least
probably better.
I knew I was doing a couple of years. So that's the reason, right? If I was facing 30, I probably would have broke down. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't
lot
know what.
easier
Yeah,
at two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's
How long did you do? You did 2?
I did 21 months because I got a drug program. I got sentenced to 3 years, but I got a drug program, so I got 6 months knocked off my sentence.
Also, probably when you're in 2 years, you're kind of like, I'm not going to be in here with the real heavy hitters, or were you?
Are you in prison or jail?
I can't what?
Jail or prison?
No, I was in jail.
Yeah.
No bail. Worst time you can do. Then I went to it, but I kept getting in fights.
Why is that the worst time you can do?
Because you're locked up. There's no organization, right? The reason the gangs and the races split up into groups, it's because it's the best way to try to keep the peace and keep the drugs flowing and make sure violence is
There's more stuff in
kept
prison, right?
kept to a minimum, right? But in jail, I'm bunked up next to a guy who's facing the death penalty, and then I just got a junkie over here who's withdrawing from heroin, who's in here for shoplifting.
Right.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
So I kept getting tested. I kept getting in fights, and I would just get a ticket. I'd get written up. So after like 6-7 fights, going to the hole, all this shit, by the time I go to I get sentenced, the prison system is like, oh, this motherfucker's like a high risk. He's a problem. So that's why they sent me to a maximum security prison. I'm like, you got me all wrong. Dude.
Yeah.
You know, I
I'm just
can't go
defending
there.
myself.
I got a future. I gotta go to LA.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do comedy. So yeah, so that
Tim
was
Allen story too.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's how I ended up in that.
And then you went to a
prison.
medium after that?
I went to a minimum after that.
A minimum, yeah.
Yeah, I went maximum all the way down to a prison that barely even had a fence. It was like right on the Oregon coast.
So you've done a bunch of
It
them.
was lovely.
Yeah.
What's that?
You've done a bunch of the prisons.
Yeah. I've
Did
been
you have were you in ever the ones where they have the glass door where you're never, like everyone can see you
Like
at all
Oz?
times?
That's the hole.
Oz,
That's the glass.
No, I
full
think you're talking
glass?
about Oz.
Yeah, they have basically
like the pods.
They have
in
a
Oz.
pod.
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's a
that-
pod.
Yeah, but there's not. They don't see you the whole time. It's just a little window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they don't have like the all glass. They would break them probably.
Yeah.
Or shattered.
Yeah.
Break them. It's a plexiglass sort of situation.
No, I never got the plexiglass, but yeah, I was in. I've been to the hole a bunch.
What'd you go to the hole for? Fighting? So you kept having to fight.
Kept having to fight.
What was like an example? What would they come up like steal your food?
The first guy did, yeah, but that was my first day in there. I was
Day one steals the food.
Day one takes the fucking cinnamon bun off the tray, and they're like, "That means you got to go fight." That was basically like, "Hey, we got to squabble really quick." That was.
Did you have that conversation with yourself where you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to go fight this guy, and you hype yourself up for it?
Yeah. I thought about trying to talk him out of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, we can haggle, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I went and basically like you have these sandals on. You don't have shoes when you first go into prison because you're gonna hang yourself, I guess, with your laces in county jail. So I'm fighting this big bald head stocky dude with sandals on in the bathroom. You know what I mean? And I got the fucking toilet paper wrapped around my knuckles and shit. But after a minute of just bam, 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 bam. Oh, we're so gassed, and the CO just comes in, the guard, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, break it up, go back to your cell, you're good." Because he knew that was the ones that you have to get, or else you're just gonna get.
And does that guy just like every new guy just goes to take the cinnamon bun?
Yeah, that's
just like there go this
Crappy job for that guy.
Yeah. Well, he wants cinnamon buns. The guy wants more cinnamon buns. He's not getting enough cinnamon buns, so every time someone comes in, he goes,
"That's cinnamon."
And then if you get it and they don't fight you, then you go, "Every day I get it."
Yes, exactly. So, and then you'll be ostracized if you don't go fight.
Right.
So, or you'll probably have to you'll get beat up, and then you have to go to PC and hang out with the fucking pedophiles.
Pedophiles, right? Yeah.
So yeah, that's.
Did they have you have to show your paperwork?
Yep.
Yeah, all that shit.
Yep. But I got a lot of
just
respect.
to find out you're not a pedophile.
I got a lot of respect for my crime because I was in state prison with a very high level drug crime. So that's pretty unusual in state prison. And so that when I got to the actual prison, that's when it got easier. You know what I mean? And they respect intelligence. So they're like, okay. And I was a hooper, you know what I mean? Like I was not affiliated. So it was relatively.
Do some people just go and literally just don't talk to anybody and just kind of
just do their time? Yeah, there's those guys. Yep.
Yeah, sure. They just kind of
keep to themselves. Usually the lifers.
Yeah.
You know, because they turn inward, or they just become absolute animals.
Interesting.
You know,
Does it happen with the jail guards that the ones that are how you always see the jail guards them going to jail afterwards?
Yeah.
Do a lot of those guys have no choice? Because you kind of feel like you always see it in the movies, but in the shows too, where the jail guards, it's like the gang basically is like, hey, this is happening. You know what I mean? Gangs will approach the jail guards being like, you're bringing in these drugs, whether you like it or not, or this happens, or is it slower than that?
There was this fat white female CO, and it is a stereotype, but she was fucking a black inmate. You know what I mean? And I'm like, there you go. That's the jungle fever, old school.
The girls is easier on that front. Yeah, someone rizzes her up.
So he was rizzing her up real good, and she was bringing shit in for him. This is how they do it. He was like a big black shock collar, doing all day, but he knew how to fucking manipulate, and that's how you do it. You start a relationship with one of these broads, and now she's bringing in the tobacco, balloons of weed, probably some other shit. And then she says, I don't want to do this anymore. So he just goes to the warden, and boom, they fucking led this bitch out of the prison in handcuffs.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not well paid, so they have crazy incentives.
Of course, and they put these fucking prisons in bumfuck, tertiary, deindustrialized areas. And like at OSP, Oregon State Prison, that's old school. That's like, guard, come here. I got $1,000 cash. Can you bring me in a drum of tobacco? And it's like, boom.
Yeah, that costs $20 or something.
Exactly. And you turn that tobacco package around for like 5 G's from a grand investment. And if you're a CO, and you get caught with that, it's not like bringing in narcotics.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You might just get fired, right? So it's a huge tobacco trade in prison. That was the biggest moneymaker now because they banned cigarettes.
Yeah, that's how it starts. I feel like you did a bunch of videos about how Rikers is specifically the worst one. Is that in America? Why is it so much worse than others? Or I've seen a bunch of guys talking about how what is it what happens there that's so much different than other prisons?
Yeah, in Cook County too, in Chicago, that's like a mini penitentiary too. Those
are the worst ones.
Yeah. So that's where it's just like it's like a prison, but it's jail people who don't know what's happening to them. Gangs everywhere, beefing. I don't know, man. These guys just
overcrowded, probably
overcrowded, and people are getting just sliced. They get their fucking faces opened up. I don't know. People have no value in their own lives because how the fuck could you go do that? It's still
there is some weird thing where they're like, if we could all. I often think about that because I watch so much of this like jail shit, and they're like, there is a weird thing where if everybody could just decide, where they're like, we're gonna all be
Unionize.
pleasant,
Yeah.
and cooperate.
That's
This
you
could-
showing up to jail. Like, guys, I've actually solved this.
Guys, we can all just have a good time.
Danny, you're doing me right now around a table of big swastika white guys.
but I'm just like,
And I'm like, guys, why do we have to behave this way?
What is
you know what
the
I mean?
reason for this?
Let's keep civilization. And one of them was like, buddy, I know, but
yeah.
them's
Well,
the
I
rules. You're in an
understand
adult prison.
because you can't get everybody to fall in line.
You're saying what's the upside?
Theoretically, I'm just
Yeah.
like, if you could just get everybody to be like, yo, let's just cooperate and be pleasant, it could be a pretty nice time for everybody.
And that's the Canadian
Like, you don't have to worry
mindset.
about or whatever, but then
Yeah.
you're just, you know.
No, I agree.
But then there's one guy who goes, fuck that, I'm going to go rob people and beat them up. And then you go, okay, back to the old way.
Yeah,
Just takes
exactly.
one guy to be like, I'm not doing that. so-
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
that's the equivalent of being like, if every guy just stopped dating gold diggers, they'd have to stop gold digging. Like,
Right.
it's,
we should form a union.
Or, yes, exactly. But it's always one dude,
There's always a
right?
scab.
Like, and they try to they've done that before. Like when the prison will take something away, like
Yeah.
whatever privilege, people will like do a hunger strike, or they'll won't come out of their cells. They'll put newspaper over their cell
Flood their
doors.
cells and shit.
Yeah, exactly. But one guy just taps out. You know what I mean? Or it's like there's always scabs,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. That's just that's the way things are. I don't know. I don't know if. I don't know. It seems like I always
there
think,
are obviously violent people in there, so they're like, well, you're putting me in here, I'm a violent person, you're expecting me to show up to prison and then now not be violent?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I'm going to continue being this way.
Yeah.
Just forces people like you to have to be
I
violent
know,
when
I
you're
know,
not.
I know. But I'm like, man, I don't know. It's so crazy. It's like people's just mindset. I hate to make this a philosophical hour, but it's like people don't. You have a choice. You have a choice. Unless you're really psychotic, you have a choice to say prison's not making me do this.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I have a choice to react to what comes at me.
Yeah, well, we had him on
what
our
are your
podcast.
options to react though? Like if someone,
Like if a CO is like, they would call it like just brutalize some, like just verbally, like fuck you, get the fuck on the wall. You know what I mean? I'm gonna search you, bitch. Like you have a
Yeah.
lot of that, right? Abuse of
just
power,
disrespectful.
But then you could just be like, okay, yeah, you're a jerk.
Sure.
whereas they almost want you to react so then they can
Of course,
nightstick
of
you.
course, and some guards get the shit beat out of them, but like
You get poop thrown on them.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They get those cocktails.
Yeah, the cocktails. That's my
It's cocktail.
worst
Hey,
nightmare.
it's 5 p.m. somewhere.
It's like literally fermented piss and shit that they like.
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah, that's the ultimate disrespect.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the ultimate
Well, you
hep,
get really
hep B.
Yeah, and
That's got to be a pretty high crime to beat up a guard.
Yeah. It just depends where you are, because if you're in Rikers and you just you give a guard a 2-piece real quick, there's so much shit going on that like you might just go to the hole.
Yeah.
So it depends where. It depends how much crime is going on, because if there's a guy getting his throat slit down the hall,
It's just priority.
Like,
It's like
yeah,
a
it's just
hospital.
priority.
They don't want to do the paperwork.
They don't want the paperwork. So yeah.
Have you seen what's going on in El Salvador, where they
Yeah.
kind of have all the pictures of the
MS-13.
Yeah, they have them all like kind of torture, I guess, but they have them basically like
Like,
sitting cross-legged.
They don't give them any fucking clothes, bro.
Yeah.
They give them like you go walk around, you do your time in boxers.
Yeah, it is
And-
crazy though. They said the crime rate's fucking absolutely tanked
I mean,
there.
I guess obviously.
Well,
right?
but they were saying forever. They're like, well, there's nothing we can do. And then Bukele came in and he's like,
Oh.
yeah, watch. Like, I can be a fucking borderline dictator.
Yeah, I think
Watch
he
what I
is
can do."
kind of a dictator now.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't know. Maybe places like El Salvador celebrate it, but it's just not going to happen in America.
No. Yeah, you're not going to get like Philippine style fucking.
Like you could tell Tucker Carlson could say all day, like, yeah, we want this. This can happen. But it's like, you don't want that. We'd rather have a guy doing a smash and grab, but we have all these freedoms.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Like, there's
Well, yeah, but
trade-offs for
those are the
that.
two opposite ends of the spectrum. You know what I mean? You're just like, yeah, you can. I think that if you're talking about, there's no question that just incentives. You're like if you treat criminals really bad, people are probably less likely to be criminals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like,
However,
Yeah.
there's probably like a
Asian
middle ground. You're
style,
like, yeah, but
and
these are still human beings.
Yeah, and they're like,
Right,
do we
right.
want to like execute someone for having like a gram of weed?
Right.
And some
Like they-
countries are like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
They're like,
if you want to
we
live,
do want to live like that.
You want to be Thailand?
Yeah, exactly.
Or Malaysia?
Or like-
be my fucking guest.
Yeah. Thailand's a weird one because they legalize weed and now they're unlegalizing it.
I'm interviewing a guy I'm going to the UK next month. I'm interviewing a guy that was he's just like really like smart, like well-spoken, erudite kind of Londoner, but he was just one of these crazy, again, these Brits. And he was like trying to smuggle hash out of Thailand. And he got caught and they gave him the death penalty. and he fucking escaped from Thai prison.
How?
What?
I don't know. I'm about to find out. Tune in.
He escaped.
He escaped Thai prison. Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking crazy. I
Yeah.
remember when I was in Thailand, they sell you all, like everybody's selling books and stuff, and they're all just about Australians who wound up in fucking Thai
Exactly.
prison for smuggling heroin.
You ever read Shantaram?
Nah, I don't know.
That's
Which
a
one was
great
that
book.
one?
I read that in prison, and that's about the Australian guy who was in a maximum security Australian prison, escaped, and then he moved to like Mumbai, and then he started working for the fucking Indian mob. Which
Oh,
is
no,
crazy.
no,
The
no, no,
Indians
that.
got crazy.
Where are the
mafia,
Indian
yeah.
mob? Where are they mainly?
Oh, in India? They're in
Okay.
Mumbai. Yeah, Mumbai. And yeah, it's fucking nuts. They are like, they dominate that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Indian gangsters in fucking India you wouldn't want to fuck with.
yeah, exactly. And
And
how do you think
Surrey.
they're washing that money? 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. That's it.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah,
dude.
the Al Salvador one's the craziest one, but I feel like, yeah, definitely like I guess you said the Scandinavian countries when you watch those, and then they're obviously like,
Well, they got, like,
people
Anders
are playing
Breivik
tennis and
and-
shit like that.
Yeah.
And then you watch a lot of the Asian ones, it feels like it's not so much where, everyone's fighting nonstop, kind of like how it is in,
No,
maybe
they're
North
not- they're
America.
not like that,
But it's
yeah.
always like 19 guys in a room situation.
Dude, literally, you read
Yeah,
one of these
yeah,
fucking
exactly.
books about the Thai jail. You're like, I don't want to like jaywalk in Thailand.
No.
Like this one guy's book. He was the Australian guy who tried to smuggle heroin. I guess he smuggled heroin to Australia out of Thailand. I guess that makes more sense. And then, but he's like in a jail. It's like literally you're in a room. Like everybody's just like shitting on the floor. You have like a little like thin mat. He's like at one point some guy woke up in the middle of the night. It's like screaming, and he had like some fucking lump on his thing, and it was just like it was killing him. And they like cut it open, and like all these spiders came out.
Oh.
And like it's just like nightmare scenario.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you get these insane punishments. Like it's not they're like, oh, I was saying like if you deface a picture of the king there, they send you to jail.
Yeah.
That's like
Dude, white people rule.
Yeah.
Fucking the West kicks ass.
They do
the
it
West
better?
does kick
The
ass.
West kicks ass.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
West is like, they're still the Scandinavian countries where they're super.
What's the African prisons like?
I think
It's
it
called
depends where you are.
Africa.
Yeah, it's called that.
the whole continent?
Yeah, Danny got him. Clip it. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Ugh.
I don't know what they're like. They're probably bad. Anywhere where they're like economically not doing well, they're not good.
Yeah, that's why.
Because they're not diverting. Like you have to the prisons are so low on the fucking totem pole of where your country wants to spend its money. Probably where it's like you have to have a super affluent country to
but
trickle down.
if you're a high level criminal, the upside to getting caught in Africa, in Mexico,
You just buy your way out.
Buy your way out,
Yeah.
dude. You can buy your way out in Spain.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
talked to this guy. He's a Brit. Jesus fuck. These limeys.
that's all they do.
Yeah, he got caught smuggling steroids through in Spain, got arrested, and he was in a hard ass Spanish prison for like 5 years, and some guy was like, wait, I got a lawyer, just give him 6 G's, he'll go to the judge, you'll be out. 6 G's.
That's it.
What?
That's what.
$6 grand.
That's
I
crazy.
I've been here for 5 years.
That's a Patreon month.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember when I was in Thailand, that was like the big thing where at the parties people are like, don't buy weed because you'll buy weed from someone and they are like their friend is a cop.
Yeah.
And so it's all the whole thing's a setup. So he's like, you go buy weed, then their friend arrests you, and then they're basically like $3 grand.
Take
And
us to the ATM.
basically like $3 grand, and you don't have to go to Thai jail.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, all right, let me call my parents.
North Korea is always the wildest stories where the guy, there was that famous guy recently, and he was drew something on the hotel, and he's currently doing a 30-year sentence, and
Oh,
there's
yeah,
just
you
nothing
know,
you can
I
do
mean,
about it.
Almost you deserve it if you're that stupid.
If you go to North Korea, you're like best behavior. If you're for whatever
Yeah.
reason find yourself there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can go there, but you have a couple too many drinks one night, and
There's no drinks in North Korea.
If you're brewing your own beer with vegetables that the population desperately needs.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, if you're diverting precious food for fucking moonshine. But
Did you have
Yeah.
when you were in jail?
Yeah. I drank this shit, bro. They would brew them in
know?
these huge bags, and dude, the guy was like, "Be careful with that." You know what I mean? Because you'll go blind drinking this shit.
They're making moonshine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fermented fucking oranges, so many packs of sugar. But there was like a guy on each cell block. He was like the brewmaster. For each gang, he's got the hand. They call it.
Yeah,
He has a hand
he
at
just
making
knows how to-
batches.
yeah.
Yeah, so you get twisted, bro. It was like Friday night.
Yeah, everybody's just like, there's like drugs are pretty easily available.
Yeah, and like people, like if like a balloon of like meth made it in, the prison, like you just feel the energy, like everybody calm down.
Meth calms everybody down?
For sure.
Really?
For sure. You seem like tweakers, like, you know how it is when you do, some people do coke.
Yeah.
Like when I used to do coke, it would make me like really like I'd be moving my mouth and tweaking,
Right,
but I
you're
wouldn't be
like-
bouncing off the walls,
Right,
you know?
yeah.
It's when people are withdrawing that they act nuts.
No, they start fucking around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's certain nights in jail where it was just like hanging with the boys, kind of.
Oh, dude, hanging with the boys,
Yeah.
busting with the boys, and there were moments of fun.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, we know Martin Shkreli, and he was just like, he's like, I had so much fun.
Dude, you guys got to put me in touch with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's he was in an easy one. He was in an easy federal
New Jersey.
prison. Yeah, and in those nice Fed prisons, bro, everybody's got money. So it's like it's a fucking frat house in there.
Yeah.
What do you think's gonna happen with the Diddy trial?
Damn. I mean,
My prediction is there will not be a trial.
you think they're gonna kill him?
Yeah.
Who's he hiding though? Like
I don't
he's
know.
not Epstein level, bro.
He's not Epstein level.
He's protecting Jay-Z.
Well,
Like, what
probably
sequence-
there
sequences
had
are-
to have been politicians in the mix.
You think
Politicians like want to hang out with celebrities because they're like celebrities of politics and
freak offs. You think Maxine Waters, all black politicians?
Maxine Waters,
shit, motherfucker, give me that.
Dude,
shit,
every
that ass.
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Politicians are at war right now. It honestly feels like whenever you kind of, like a moment in like a movie about a country where it's just like Eric Adams is going down right now. It was just like I've never seen so many politicians be fucking like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They had a relative period where it was rare that any of them would go down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They, I mean, unless you were like crazy corruption or doing something crazy, it seemed like Marion Barry.
It's like a turning
Marion
point
Barry,
moment, though.
yeah. He gave his life up to God, and everyone was like, they accepted him back.
Yeah, they let him be mayor again.
Yeah,
I think he won it.
crazy.
Yeah, I think he won again. Yeah, we're from Toronto where we had Rob Ford.
Rob Ford.
Yeah, not
Gee,
Doug Ford.
bro.
Yeah, Rob Ford was the man.
No, he was the OG.
Do you guys, are you happy you're in America? You think you're going to stay here?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's no comedy industry in Canada.
Yeah. But what do you
Like,
think
at
about
all.
like the system overall? Do you think the American
nice to have
system?
healthcare.
Depends on who you are, right? It's a different mentality, but you can. America's the most place in the world. If you want to do something and do the most and the best of it,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
use your full potential.
Yes.
Take
Yes.
whatever you're trying to do to its maximum. America's the kind of
It's the best
only
country.
place for
Like, there's
that.
no question.
And do you
if
know-
you are, if your goal is, I don't want to work that hard. I kind of want to chill. Like
I want a good life.
People have, I want a
Mellow
good
life.
I don't really want, some people find, I'm sure that there's just in your normal life, I'm sure a lot of people have, people are chilling and then you're one friend that's always like more, it's always trying to, and some people are like, he's too much to be around,
Sure.
or like a family that one guy is always. So a lot of people are just like, we don't want all this hustle and bustle.
Yeah, of
Yeah, of
So it
course.
depends on your temperament as a human, your
100%.
sensibility.
And there
But-
should be, and that's why that's a good thing. We have different nations with different cultures because you can choose to like stay in Canada, and
Yeah.
you're a plumber, and you got a house in the suburbs of Saskatoon. There we go.
Sure,
See,
there
I know
you go.
Canada.
Yeah.
Well,
People
I'm
like
half families. My mom's from Calgary.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, so yeah, it's but that thing about America, we're the offspring of the second born child, right? Because from the old country, England and all that shit, the estates and all that, the farmland went to the first son. So the second son is like, how am I going to find my fortune? And that's America. And the optimism of
Sure.
America, that's proof that like manifesting works. As hokey and gay as it is, it's the mentality of, yes, things will be better.
I mean, I say it all the time, like, because everybody with all the migrant stuff right now, and everybody's like, fucking all these migrants are coming in. I'm like, dude, some of those people who are coming in 20 years from now are going to be like hugely successful, like multi-millionaires.
Yep.
Where they can't go sneak into any other country and do that.
Right.
This is the only one where they can sneak into and just be like, I'm going to start fucking landscaping.
That's it.
And like build up a landscaping company and just
Yeah.
be like wildly successful.
Yeah, and I think exactly, and I think like as much as like the right makes some good points, the pendulum swung too far left, but like Tucker and guys like sycophants and talking heads that are just like, America's so fucked up, it's fucked and everything's fucked. It's kind of shitting on America.
Yeah.
It's kind of being anti-American in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's just not reality for
No, I mean,
a lot of
it's
people.
still-
Well, I guess it means a different thing for different people. So they're just like,
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Probably the biggest thing that I was thinking about recently in terms of whenever you hear like British people, you know, there's a lot of British people that are, you know, popular YouTubers or podcasts or whatever. Whenever there's like a disturbance, like say right now, you know, the last 5 years, let's say however long it's been like a moment that feels like there's kind of chaos. Their instinct is always like, how do we get this over with to get back to how things are?
Yeah.
And I think that's not how it works. What actually happens is it's kind of like, you know, imagine you have like a big fight with a girl and you break up. It's the instinct of like, you know what, let's just get back, like, let's get over that fight. Let's get back. Or the other version is like, move on, get something
it's
better.
Like, it's like, why can't we just go back to how it was? You're like,
Yeah.
"This is
And
how
I
it
think
works."
there's, sometimes you see with like two people that are a lot older, but I think a big part of what separates when you think of Britain, they're always, whenever, you know, let's say the PC stuff's out of control, whatever it is, they're always like, how can we stop that so we can go just get back to normal?
Yeah.
And I think that in America, probably, or like, you know, that more of type of mentality is very like, you're moving forward.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
Yeah.
Less rooted in culture. And the downside to that is you have Las Vegas, where civilization comes to crumble on itself. But that's because we're not tethered to tradition the way that Britain is.
You're not tethered to tradition.
Or even Canada, because you have
I
a
see,
lot
I
of
it
think
is
it goes
funny
to your
watching Brits walking around here just being like, what the fuck?
This
Like,
is what-
it's just so unbelievable that a place like this just like for something like this to be in, you know, anywhere in England would just be incomprehensible.
Right. Exactly.
Well, it taps into your optimism thing though, because when you're, let's say, if, you know, like someone's in a relationship and whether you're going to leave or not, like
Ryan is toxic, bro. Ryan just keeps bringing up metaphor relationships.
Well, it's the same one.
He has had some shit thrown at his head, bro. He has had
I think I
some
bring everything back to people dynamics.
But
But if you look
I
at,
love it. Go ahead.
Whatever. Or leaving a job to, you know, let's say you're going to leave. The optimism is that there's something better. You see what I'm saying? Whereas I think that's like, you know, the idea of like, we'll move somewhere else. There's something better. As opposed to always trying to fix it's so that even, you know, that's why, you know, all the crypto stuff coming from here, that's very like American. It's like there's a new way you can kind of like imagine a better way to do things. And even though it's I feel like, you ever been working with someone and it's kind of like, well, what's, you know, we need to solve this, and it was kind of like, well, what? And you're like, yeah, that you need to be the ability to be able to conceptualize that there is something better, even though it isn't there yet,
dude.
It's sort of,
and that's what it comes down to. That is metaphysics. That is seeing it before it's there and really believing it. You know?
yeah. And sometimes you can feel, yeah, I think,
There's religious undertones.
you know,
to
and
it.
sometimes probably in like basketball or like sports, there's probably guys that you're like, you know, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I kind of picture the like
I see the
energy
play
of,
kinda-
yeah, I kind of
Yep.
picture the energy. I don't know
Developing.
exactly how it's going to play out, but you kind of, and then you
Yep.
just execute on it. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that there's that conceptual like ability of like, there's a conception of this better thing in the future that I'm moving towards. I think that, for example, British people don't have that. They're like, oh, well, there's something better.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's fucking,
Even though there is this literal A/B test in the world of the better version of England, aka here, that goes, yes, there is something better.
Yeah. So,
there it is.
There's part 1 and part 2, and we know which one's better.
Sure.
So.
yeah, to me, I mean, to be honest, like when it goes back to the, you know, the jails and the crime, like a part of that is that mentality is also in the people doing crime.
Yeah, right. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, I could do more. I could be the best at this. I could do the most crime.
Dude, I would walk by motherfuckers' cells and they'd be like, I'd be like, oh, what are you reading there? He's like, I'm studying the sentencing guidelines to see after I get out what crimes I can do. I'm like,
Really?
I'm like, what? Get a degree.
Yeah,
Get your
that's
welder
right.
degree.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
bum.
But like you obviously like are talking to people who they don't do podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. How do you find them, by the way?
They find me usually.
They find you?
They find me. Sometimes I'll reach out, you know, through if I'm connected, right? If I have a connection to them. But, you know.
Because these aren't like, oftentimes, like, it's not like the story was in the news.
Right.
Where you can even find them. It's just like a guy.
Most of the people on the Connect are anonymous. They're
Yeah.
not these, we have had Sammy the Bull, we've had Freeway Rick, but the majority of them are these people that just want to get their story out. Like people are fucking ego driven. Everybody wants to be on television.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And that's people are chomping at the bit to come on.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I always think that when I see I have my buddy Tommy G. He's like, Tommy. He's fucking the man, but he does these cool ass videos. But I'm always like, how did you find guys to let you come ride along while they do crime?
Yeah,
it's like or Andrew Callahan. He does the guys the Kia Boys one, and he rides along with them while they like fucking steal cars. You're like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
At what point is he like not an accessory? I guess there's some way around that where he says I'm a journalist or something.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think so because BBC does that. They'll go to fucking Sinaloa and interview a guy cooking up a batch of meth.
Yeah, and you're allowed to do that.
It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, it's fucking bizarre. People are filming their crimes. It's like,
have you ever been in a scenario where you're like, this is getting a little sketchy?
Yeah, not in the course of filming the show.
Yeah. So just in general.
We don't.
You're like, jail.
Yeah. Have you been listening for an hour?
Fremont Street.
Yeah, we went down to Culiacan, Sinaloa in November of 23. A month later is when the army went in and had this massive shootout and arrested Chapo's son Ovidio. And it was like, dude, bodies everywhere. Like they killed like hundreds of innocent people, and of course they fucking covered it up, right? Being the Mexican military. And now you look at what's going on. They're having a civil war there right now in the same streets that we were like filming. In the city of Culiacan.
Okay.
So we were with these guys. They were the bodyguards for Mayo, and we were hanging out with them in this little village outside of Culiacan. And these kingpins have layers of security, right? Just like the president just doesn't have his bodyguards. He's got guys 3 blocks away in a perimeter, and then another 6 blocks away. And so that's how it is with these guys. They have rings of security that go on for miles, so they could see anybody that's moving up the road. So we could hear like in their walkie-talkies, like, oh, hey, they got a kitchen. Meaning like the military just hit a fucking meth kitchen,
Yeah.
But that's probably all set up, right? They probably just gave them... They just feeding them, right? The cartel's like, hey, you should go check out this house. They might be cooking meth there. And then they bust it, they blow it up. Nobody gets arrested. They get the stats, right? But we were out there with them, and I'm like, these were like 23, 25-year-old kids. And yeah, I'm like, they could just kill us.
Yeah.
Like,
end of story.
End of story. And there's nothing, we would just be disappeared. And, maybe they'll
Because I was trying to make a YouTube video.
Right, exactly. I'm like... worth it. But yeah, situations like that, but not even, we're so connected when we go into these places.
Yeah. Like
and they're not savages. They do savage shit sometimes, but they're logical. They're like, oh yeah, just, when you film me, make sure I got
to be honest, a lot of times the criminals are probably in some ways more logical than like a bureaucrat, because they actually the
stakes are almost higher. Like,
well, yeah, I think sometimes with comedy, you're like the same way that you're just like, if this is true, it's gonna like resonate with people. They're gonna be like, oh fuck, I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're incentivized to sort of like find the like little true nugget.
Yeah.
They're incentivized to make the right moves. Where it's a lot of times you're maybe in like a bureaucracy working for the government, you're incentivized to, not rock the boat, which I guess, as I'm saying that, I'm sure that there are a lot of gangsters that are incentivized to not rock the boat.
But these guys are so organized.
But
like the Mexicans are so, they just take orders. It's part of their culture, right? They're like, I'm like, why don't you guys try to start your own cartel? And they're like, well, it's not the way it is, right? In America, everybody's like, fuck that, I can do it. You know what I mean? But in Mexico, it's this indigenous...
That's not for me. They go, that's for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not his son, therefore I can't be a boss.
It's like a caste.
Like, oh, that's kind of mean. It's a caste system. So they would have to get permission from like 8 different people before we got whacked. And you can't touch a gringo. Like sometimes on accident, Americans go to Mexico and they get kidnapped or caught up in a firefight and they get killed. And whoever did that, the cartels will turn them into the government.
Yeah.
They're like, we're so sorry, won't happen again.
Yeah,
because they don't want heat.
There was the people coming over from, I think it was Texas.
They went into Matamoros
to go get dental work, right? And
these black people, and then there's
on
video of them getting fucking broad daylight. these trucks just fucking surrounding him and snatching him out and throwing him in the back of the truck.
Yeah, and they killed him.
And those were just rogue. Those were just guys. You know, that's a consequence. That tells me that the cartels are not as strong because maybe less drug money too. You know what I mean? Who knows? But it was just a bad move. And then 2 days later, they're in front of the news with their fucking handcuffed with their heads down.
Yeah, and they just turned.
And the cartel wrote a letter like that. We did not sanction this.
A letter.
Yeah. very truly yours, Carlos.
Interesting. Yeah, because you're like, that's a national news story.
Yes,
now.
exactly.
Yeah.
And Mexico.
What are you doing, buddy?
Mexico, it's all about appearances. You don't know what is truth down there. That's what's so chilling. And that comes from just not having a culture that's run by law. And that's what the British did. God, thank God America got colonized by the Brits and not the Spanish. Because we're all about paperwork. It's official.
Yeah.
Like, I know you say it's true, but like, where's the proof? But down there, they speak in riddles.
Do the cartels influence like...
What do you mean by speaking riddles, though, too?
Like, they speak in riddles, like they say one thing, but it means another, right? And just because this guy's getting arrested doesn't mean he doesn't have a backdoor deal. And it's so there's
like
so much,
all
it's
for
all
show.
Misinformation. It's all for show. Like the government, you know, turning in a kingpin was getting paid by the same guy 15 years ago.
Right.
He's like, hey, we got to go. You got to go because it's election time.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like I said, it's like espionage shit. It's
Crazy.
really,
Do
really
cartels
crazy.
influence like the news there? Like, do they have an influence on stories and stuff? that come
no, that's
out?
a good point.
Not
Yeah,
the
good
news, podcasting.
Really?
They have like Culiacan podcasts that are just arms of the cartels.
Really?
How funny is that?
And like, what do they
have
talk about?
the Fox News of Mexican podcasting.
And
on
they're like,
MSNBC.
they're like, today the cartel handed out 5,000 meals to orphans. Like, is it like that kind of like fluff pieces?
No, it's like we're winning.
Oh.
We're winning the Chapitos are winning the war. No, it's the Maitos that are winning the war. They turned in this guy, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
Dude,
just
that's so funny having a press arm of your crime organization.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Democrats have one. It's called MSNBC.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. So, but Eric Adams getting arrested, like, do you think that was partly because they were like, well, we'll show them that we're balanced. We put Trump on trial for some bullshit.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
like. So now we'll show them that we're balanced. We'll arrest a Democrat.
No, I don't
in New
think.
York.
I don't think it's that
Well,
at all.
the theory is because he
that's not the
opposed
theory.
the migration.
The theory is the same
He
as
went
Trump. The
against
theory
them.
is he went against the. He went against the
Because
narrative.
New York's a sanctuary city, so not even a sanctuary city, but it is. But it's also New York has a very specific thing that I don't know if any other American city has. It's called like duty to house or something. Where essentially, if you're homeless in New York City, they have to get you a bed. It's not like in Toronto, for example, like they have shelters. If the shelter's full, they're like, come back tomorrow, but you sleep outside tonight.
Yeah.
New York City literally has a policy where it's like, we will find you a bed tonight.
Yeah, you won't freeze on the street.
You won't freeze on the streets. We'll find you a bed. And if that means putting you up in a hotel, we'll put you up in a hotel.
We don't know what igloos are. Unlike Toronto.
But like, they'll like, we'll put you up in a hotel. So then the migrants started coming here, and they're like, well, that rule applies to them.
Yeah.
That's why there's like all these migrant hotels.
And Eric
because by
Adams-
law, and now he's like they were like, we have to shut libraries down on Sundays,
Right.
Because our budget, like we have to make budget cuts because of the migrants.
Yeah.
So we're like, we're shutting down libraries on Sunday.
Right.
Certain libraries are like.
And Eric
closed.
Adams made that speech. He was like, "This is going to destroy."
Yeah,
New York
he's like,
That's
I was
the
on
theory,
board, and then he's like, it's kind of getting too far with like every state sending their migrants here.
What do you guys? Okay, so I go to New York a couple times a year. You go down to the Alphabet City, bro. It looks
Yeah, I
like
used to live there.
Mogadishu in that little park. You know what I mean? It's pretty wild.
He lives.
Yeah. So even like a do-gooding liberal person is like, fucking goddamn, this guy's got a hawk on his shoulder. You know, it's fucking wild. It's scary. You see all these fucking like big Congolese motherfuckers, and it's
I'll tell you what, it's crazy the extent to which it almost needs, like, when you come down and look at it, because I think just living anywhere, it's as a human, so quickly it becomes normal.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, I'm sure that if, people who live in Mexico and you're like, it's not rare for one of your neighbors to just get like murdered and disappeared, or when, you talk about how your family, when they lived in Russia, like it's crazy how quick things become like normalized.
I mean, the only thing that'll never get normal to me is a dude wearing a fucking snowsuit in the middle of the summer.
Dude, I went to
Where is that? Where is that?
It's like all the
like
fucking
a hood thing, right?
No, it's not a hood thing. No, it's all the Africans and and like South Asians and stuff, because they are like come from such hot climates.
That's how hot it is in Sudan.
They're like in New York, fucking like summers. They're cold.
Yeah, that's
So they just are all wearing like fucking parkas and shit in the summer because they're just like this is cold to them.
My boys that used to sell crack back in fucking Portland. I would sell weed to these crack dealers back in the day. They'd be like, that's how you tell if he's a cop or not. If he's dressed like it's December and July, crackheads don't sweat for some reason. That's how you know he's good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess all it takes is for one cop to know that, and then you go, now we have our new.
But then he's sweating. And
yeah, he's sweating though.
Yeah.
Unless he's smoking crack, he's so dedicated. He's like, I'm going to become a crackhead.
I was doing a thing recently where I was saying that if you want to be racist, you're like, you can't say the N-word as a white guy. If you take a job as an undercover cop, like taking down a white supremacist crime ring, and you're just like 10 years of being racist, and you're just like, yeah, it's called stopping crime. Like that is the life hack.
He's like, dude, I love my job. They're like, you can.
No, you love your job. You don't understand. I love my job.
His bosses are like, okay, we got the evidence now. Like, you're done. You're like, no. I think there's more to uncover.
More to be uncovered, man. I don't think we're just getting started out here. We're doing a rally tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that probably get some ears on that.
Have a speech planned.
I'm a guest of honor. That is the life hack.
So you're Russian, dude.
My parents are from Soviets.
That explains a lot, your politics and shit.
Yeah. My parents lived in like Soviet Russia till the 70s.
That's where I would flee. That's a good place. Now, first of all, I don't know where you guys stand on I'm pro Putin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They poked the bear too many times.
Yeah, for sure.
They poked the bear too many times. He was like, guys, I'm going to fuck you up. Please don't make me do this.
The idea that there wasn't like two sides to this, like they were just like, yo, there's one side to this and there's not another side. Like my grandmother.
We just took $100,000 to actually say this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're getting $100,000 for every episode we put out of Spain Fest. So, but like, yeah, I remember like, because I didn't know like the politics of Russia that much. It's always confusing when I would hear stories because like every time I hear a story, like the city has like a new name. Right. Because it was just like the borders are constantly getting redrawn and you're like in a new country now and all the shit. But like, Crimea, like I remember when they annexed Crimea and then my grandmother's like, and my grandmother hates Putin. Like all the people who left Russia, like they all hate him because they just like hate communism essentially and they hate just like that way of life and style or whatever. But she's like, yeah, all those people are Russian in Crimea.
See?
Like they're not Ukrainian.
Yeah.
They're Russians who are living in Ukraine.
Yeah.
But they're all Russian. Like if it's up to them, they want to be in Russia. Not Ukraine.
And Ukraine, when we fucking helped the coup in 2014, they started bombing the fucking Donbass. They were killing ethnic Russians in Ukraine.
Yeah, for sure.
But I like it, like as criminals, you can now flee to Russia. So like these Irish cartel guys, the Kinahan cartel, we did an episode about them. They're all gonna have like the walls are closing in on them finally. Like they're marooned in Dubai.
Irish mob guys?
Yeah, the Kinahan cartel. They're like, these guys are G's, bro. They fucking
Irish mob's the best shit.
Yeah, it's wild, bro. They had to flee to Dubai because they don't have extradition laws in Dubai. So Dubai is a haven for like these European, Australian, international criminals.
Right. And they like it if you're going to bring in a ton of money. They're like, let's do it.
Yeah, but now the heat's coming down. Dubai's going to start extraditing these guys. They're going to make treaties. So now they're like,
they're becoming a big boy country right now.
Exactly. Yeah, they're growing up a little bit. The fun's coming to an end. So they say the Kinahans, they're going to have to flee to Iran or Russia because you're safe there.
Iran might not be a good place if the way things are going.
To selling drugs, yeah, that's true.
No, but just politically.
But you can go to Russia and be safe. That's the only place where our government cannot go in and kidnap you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a guy on my show recently actually who used to be like a big Occupy Wall Street guy, and he's from like New Jersey or something. He just moved to Russia. He just lives in like the sticks outside of Moscow.
Wow.
And he loves it. He just like lives on a fucking
dude. Russia's got babes.
Yeah,
they got babes. He's like there's like nobody like really bugs you like law wise. Yeah. Like he's just like do my own thing.
I'm sure if you say the wrong thing publicly, you're gonna have some trouble.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get some bad tea if you fucking
you're not gonna do your little fucking comedy act honestly, willy-nilly.
Like, he had a thing on. He did a thing on
sheer pro Putin. Just the hackiest.
Yeah. He had a thing on RT, and he was honestly like, it's not. Yeah, like obviously, if you become like a big figure and making a huge stink, but it's not like when my parents KGB style, where
Right.
you couldn't tell your neighbor like a fucking thing
Yeah.
and get scooped up.
Yeah,
Like, it's not
yeah.
like that.
And they have, isn't it a capitalist country? It's like a
big
free
time.
market.
I mean,
right?
Moscow's like he's like, dude, Moscow's the most modern city. Like, compared
Yeah, he's
to,
like, I'm not a
anything.
commie. Like, I'm trying to move
Yeah,
us
he's
away
not a
from
commie.
communism.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
move us to the West.
Yeah,
And we were
he's
like,
just like more like an authoritarian
Yeah.
capitalist. Like he just wants
Right.
to rule with an iron fist, but they're definitely capitalists. They're
I love Russia, dude.
Yeah,
I love Russian history. I love
I couldn't
Been there?
I've never been there. No,
I couldn't, like,
I used to grow up reading like Solzhenitsyn.
Yeah,
and, you know, Tolstoy and shit like that.
My
Ayn
parent,
Rand?
Ayn Rand.
and,
Yeah.
my parents hated it so much. Like my dad's a crazy soccer fan, and when the World Cup was in Russia, because to go to Russia, you need to get like a very extensive visa. Like it's like a really like big application because they want to keep like people who are maybe not good for Russia out of the country. So it's like this huge thing. And for the World Cup, they were like, if you have a pass to get into a game, you don't need to get a visa. Like you don't need to go through this process, like an easy like visa
Wow.
on arrival. So I was like, my dad's a crazy soccer fan. I was like, we should go to a game because I've never been to Russia, and he hasn't been back since like 75 when he left. And my dad's like, no, not going.
Yeah, yeah. My dad, he hates Russia.
Yeah,
you know, but
my
these-
dad does just
They're so binary. Boomers got to go. I mean, boomers are holding the world back.
yeah, but
dude.
he is Russian. He's just like he has
I
reasons
understand
why
what you're. I'm
yeah.
not. I'm
Well,
not
didn't they have to leave their stuff there when they left? That's
Yeah,
not-
yeah. It was like you can't bring anything with you.
I mean, dude, if you
I understand that. I
you know
understand.
what it's like to get all your stuff taken away from you.
Bro, I sure do. I just got one sack slung over my
That's-
shoulder with
that
my
was my parents
books and
too.
my
They just had a
paperwork.
fucking sack of shit. And,
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
Feels like so much people these days must be going away from just like sending text messages. The amount of like trials and court cases that I see these days where it's just like the discovery came out and the guy told 50 different people what crime he was doing. Like that, it feels like you know, it seems so obvious that like, yeah, don't text everyone your crimes, and no one follows.
Dude,
that.
I just read actually the other day, I can't remember where website, but there was like this company, it was called like Ghost or something, and they would make these like encrypted phones or whatever, where it's like these fully like encrypted phones that couldn't be detected. They were like, they would like go into them and like remove like
Yeah.
like the Wi-Fi chip and stuff.
And this
like,
guy
the
was making them. He was like a young kid, like a
Yeah.
20 something. And he was manufacturing them just for criminals, just
for
drug
criminals,
traffickers,
and it was
yeah.
like the business was like all over the world essentially. Like it was like like the money came in the United States, but there was like an Australia, so it was like a really hard thing to but they figured out how to like crack them, and they like busted this guy, and they essentially are charging him with all the crimes of all
Oof.
the people
That's fucked up.
who like similar to Russ Albrecht essentially, where they're like they got him for everything like bad done on Silk Road. They're like, you did that.
Yeah.
They're like doing that to like this guy.
Throw the book at him.
Basically being like, yo, every fucking drug that was sold by your like clients, we're charging you with.
Who did that? What government?
U.S.
Fuck.
As always.
We're meanie weenies, bro.
Yeah, man.
We are meanie fucking weenies. That's, you know, America can't seem to hit that pendulum.
Yeah.
More Canadians need to take over American politics because you guys have that.
Everyone's fucking yelling at you.
You
right now.
guys, you guys have that.
No, they don't.
But you guys, like, you play to a fan base. You're obviously like anti-woke, and you do it the best, by the way, just to give you guys props. Like, you're not preachy about it. You're hilarious about it. But you talk to you guys, and you have like, you're sensible. You're not
Yeah.
like ideologues. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
definitely not.
Like,
To be
that's
honest, I don't. I feel
that's
like a
the
lot
lane
of,
we want to be in. Be in America. Have the whole the way we have things set up, but be run by like sensible people that are like, it's a little too far.
Yeah,
Like,
but sensible people probably
let's be
see
reasonable.
politics and they go like, I don't want to do that.
That's a fact.
crazy.
That's a
You're
fact.
crazy. I'm sensible. Why would I get into this?
That's a fact. Yeah.
That's like, if I know Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank guy, but
Yeah.
he's been saying that recently. He goes, the dumbest thing I ever did was when I tried to run for president. He's like, I was like,
That was a
overnight, you know, I mean, look at RFK
Life
right
gets
now.
thrown
It's just like,
upside
tell me
down.
your life wasn't better.
Right,
Like,
right.
But I guess, you know, you have a higher ideal that you're like, well, yeah, I think that I have to go
Yeah, they
help
need
this country.
need me.
It's either one of the two. Like, it has to be a mix, or not one of the two, but a mix of that. And you're just like, no, I'm the only person that could do this. You kind of have some, you know, there's like a legacy component.
Yeah.
You need to, you know, believe that you're very important. Like, there's a kind of a
Yeah.
mix of things all together that you probably need to be like, I'm going to go, this is what the next 15 years of my life is going to be.
Canada needs like a Jordan Peterson kind of leader, but who can rein in some of like the rhetoric, and like just a strong man, but somebody who can appeal.
He's going to win. This guy is a conservative guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's like the
President?
first. He'll be the next
Minister?
prime minister unless something crazy happens. But
When is that happening?
next year, because it won't be till 2025 because Trudeau won't do an early election.
You guys got to celebrate on that day.
Yeah,
you guys got to do something.
I mean, some people will. Some people still like Justin Trudeau. Like
Not very many.
not very many, but there are people who. I made this Justin Trudeau fake video, and then I think it's going around all these like liberal circles now because they keep getting like tagged in it, where people are just like literally there's a hashtag that's like a PM JT on where like people still love Justin Trudeau.
That's nuts.
That's a
But it's
propaganda
more that
campaign,
they
man.
hate.
I'm telling you, I go
more that they
I go back
hate.
to them.
Have
I
you talked to
normal-
one person?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I've talked to normal people.
No.
The most you get is, do you remember when probably after the Joe Biden Trump debate, the level of like, even people will be like, yeah, I'm voting for him, but you didn't see it. No one was like, he's the man.
Yeah,
It was that
maybe
times
like
10.
is not
Trudeau.
as good.
Yeah, they
as,
might be like,
people
I
are just
still
like
prefer him, but
yeah, people are just like, I'll never vote conservative. Like there's just people
Yeah.
who are like, I can never vote conservative.
Yeah.
I'm like lifelong. You know,
Well, the problem with your system is that you don't vote for the prime minister; you vote for the party.
I'm out of that. It's not my system.
And not my system, not my prime minister, not my PM,
not my problem.
Yeah, no shit, right? But that's
Not gonna work here anymore.
But that's it. That's what it is, though, because the parties can corrupt.
yeah.
you know,
I mean, there was
easier
a
than an individual.
There was a really like, you know how they have the whole like foreign interference Russiagate here. There was a real thing in Canada that like wasn't even that big of a story, where like the Chinese like the CCP was literally influencing like small ridings essentially, and like the outcomes of them, and like doing crazy shit where like people were like worried for their like family's safety over this, and it like it helped the liberals specifically because the CCP wanted the liberals in charge,
Of course.
and it was like kind of just like not that big of a story.
Wow.
Yeah, like there's some people who are like yelling about it, but then like the main news like don't really like pick it up. It's just like
Was
kind
the
of a
trucker
nothing.
thing in Canada, was that national outrage? Like we saw it all over the.
I know
at
a
least the
million people
podcasts
who are
and
like,
shit.
these are the biggest pieces of shit on earth. Like I
That
know-
to me was a partisan one. Yeah.
That was a part. So
Yeah, oh,
okay.
yeah. That was
so,
a big.
So
big time
people
partisan.
were like, okay, wow.
Yeah,
damn,
yeah. That was.
that's
I know
fucking
lots
nuts.
of people who are like those truckers are fucking despicable people. Like all this shit. Like
Yeah.
having that bouncy castle set up and
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
All right, so what
Fucking grilling.
are we doing tonight, boys? You guys, are you doing the Ripper? Danny went to the
I went
Rippers.
to the Rippers last night. till
What's the
5 in
Rippers?
morning at the strip club.
Oh, we're going to the Rippers. God, you fucking Canucks. I'm going to the
Rip-
Rippers.
the Feelers.
the Feelers.
I'm going to the Rippers tonight, boys, because I
Yeah.
missed last night.
I didn't drink last night or night before.
Are you going to Rippers tonight? Let's.
Yeah. Tonight I'm gonna do. I'm doing. Josh Adam Myers he used to have this TV show, and he does these jams where comedians sing songs.
The
I'm sure
goddamn
you've seen
comedy
it.
jam?
Yeah, so I'm doing "Lit My Own Worst Enemy." Pretty good. That's a pretty good song, right?
Is that so fitting for
Do
this?
you
motherfucker?
remember all the things? He sings it with you, but I was trying to pick something that was like kind of funny that everyone
Yeah.
knows the words to.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm doing
yeah.
that at 12, and then I'm down for anything. I haven't gambled yet. I haven't done.
Now, what's your guys' biggest issues? Mine is sex and love addiction. Just go.
Race mixing.
Race mixing. Got it. That's a perfect. That means you're not racist. Yeah, I mix race, bro. I mix races.
Yeah, I didn't say where I stand.
Yeah,
on
it's
it.
not a problem, right?
Sex addiction was. Did you go like you to the point where you go? I have to actually try to solve this in my life.
Yeah, it was. I was always able to rein in addiction. Like I tried to get addicted to cigarettes, couldn't. Tried to get addicted to blow, just couldn't. You know, but like
Pussy, you can get.
pussy, bro. I just keep fucking. Yeah.
Also, drinking gets in there too because you're just like, am I gonna, be on these like sober dates if
Yeah.
I'm out on the scene like
Let me
that?
turn this 3.5
sober?
into a 5. You know. No, I don't drink a lot though.
You don't drink a lot,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of LA sober. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hack to say, but
but like just occasionally.
but I'm a
well, you got to drive everywhere in LA, so it's like it just
Exactly.
logistically drinking makes less sense there.
and it's no fun.
Yeah.
LA's whack.
Yeah,
Nobody
like-
goes out and has fun.
Oh, man, the
It's
last time
just-
I was there, I was like, this place is fucking
exactly
missing something.
I was the most addicted to money. That was
Yeah.
the big thing. Like everybody in prison was mostly an addict, and I never cared about drugs. You know, when I sold coke, I would just taste it, but then
Yeah.
I'm like, this is profit. You
Right.
know? And so that's probably one of the biggest keys to my success in the drug game was money was the goal and nothing would get in the way.
But you don't have that now?
Now,
I mean, we were talking last night, you guys were we're talking Bitcoin investments.
Bro. We became bros so fast, dude. It went from fucking chicks to fucking bit to altcoins, dude.
Like,
we were talking.
There was another dude. We're like just the most typical fucking
Crypto bros at the fucking casino.
Yeah.
We were arguing.
I love it.
Solana? No, Ethereum, dude. No, but now it's such a better life because I'm like, dude, I never needed to sell drugs to like become successful.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many ways, especially now, to make money if you're a creative person, if you're
Were you like balling?
If you would have been a good criminal, there's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't ball out. No, I mean,
so you weren't even like putting it to good use. It's not like I know some guys in that lifestyle and they're like, yeah, they fucking live that life. Like, so at least the money goes to support something. Like they need to do it to support what they're doing.
Most people will tell you, man, the money went out as quick as it came in, but like I knew it was going to end, so I was socking it away. I really in my mind created this like I'm going to get out and turn this into like a legitimate fucking empire.
Which
or
you
whatever.
Could have.
I could have.
Like
I had
you
enough
could have
money.
easily got to like $3 million, and then went and bought a bunch of
Totally,
bought a few properties.
dude,
That could have easily went.
I was going to real estate. Like it actually changed my life. Because I was like, oh my God, because I grew up in like middle class, fucking, go to school and work your way up and get a job and fuck the same girl. And I never wanted any of that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I'm like, oh, investing, capitalism, business. Like, so I had all this money. I was like, this is life changing. So it opened the door to like this whole other world of like, building wealth. And even though I lost it all, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because, I got this hot podcast now, and now I know what to do with the money.
Also, when you lose it once, there's probably less of a fear of losing it in a weird way.
For sure, because I can making money. You can always go get some money if you're a real G. So.
I don't know
dude.
if I'm a real G.
No, you're a real G, bro. Both of you are real G's, dude. I'm telling you, man. So everybody should go do a couple years in prison. You're gonna be fine, dude. You're gonna be just fine, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna get out, and you're gonna have a hot podcast.
All right. I guess final question that you've been asked a million times, but I have to ask it is how much gay sex was going on.
Yeah, how many times I get my cheeks busted?
I didn't say that. I'm not asking you. I'm just saying, in general, is it everywhere, or is it something you don't even hear about?
Dude, 99% of the sucking and fucking in prison is consensual. That's a fact. I will put my stamp
over.
I mean, no. You should hear my episode with this Rikers Island guy.
Yeah.
This Rikers Island CEO. They're definitely rape is used as like a violence to like get people in line, but it's very like in the penitentiary. It's very rare. But they had this thing called it was a code word that the COs would yell if they caught you doing gay shit. They would yell, "Disengage!" So if you were walking around the prison and you pass by a closet and you just hear "disengage," they caught somebody fucking having hanky panky. Committing sin. Sinning.
Sodomy.
Well, that's when you see the locusts start popping up. You go, are you guys having...
Oh my God, there's a frog in my fucking, my food tray.
Every time.
Rodney, were you fucking... were you...
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, definitely, go check out
it's called The Connect.
Because you have two, though, right? Because you have your personal channel, then you have the podcast, which is
Yeah. So The Connect with Johnny Mitchell is the podcast. That's, obviously the YouTube channel, but also it's Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. And then, my personal channel, I'm going to start putting more comedy on there. But I do, topical videos. I talk about like
some cool
cartel shit in the news.
Riding the horses through the...
I went down to Compton and rode horses with some Crips that ride horses now, So check it out. And Instagram, if you wouldn't mind, I am Johnny Mitchell. I could use some help on that.
Yeah, go check out the Freeway with Rick Ross interview.
Yeah, that's a go. You like that one?
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah, you saw that part? He was like,
I listened to the whole thing.
I cooked up 200 kilos at a time.
Yeah.
They would go buy those industrial, like, vats of like they use in big industrial kitchens.
Yeah, like for beer or something.
Yeah, totally. And they would just fucking open the bricks and just
his story is
crazy, bro. Yeah,
crazy story.
Yeah. So I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Yeah, you're the man, dude. All right, peace.
Peace out.